Afternoon, folks. Brian here at Geomagnetic Earth Watch. Monday, May 26, 2025. I'm going to try and keep this one relatively short. Just to make some corrections on some people's thoughts and ideas. Conspiracies. Let's start off with earthquakes. Earthquakes registered at 10 kilometers depths. A lot of people think, oh, they're blowing up deep underground military bases. No, they're not, silly people. So an earthquake reported at 10 kilometers depth are not dumbs being blown up. That's just dumb. The depth of an earthquake is determined by the distance from the nearest seismograph centers. Normally, they like to have 3 for a triangulation. If the distance is too far, then the depth is assumed to be 10 kilometers. It's an automatic default setting. This is a common practice. It's also only just an initial report. So as they receive more data, they can refine those numbers, just like they refine the magnitudes. Okay. Now, the USGS, on the other hand, they are known for deleting earthquakes, severely downgrading earthquakes, because they do not want to see they don't want you to see an increasing trend in seismic activity. So 10 kilometer depth reporting. It's not deep underground military bases. Hey. The deepest underground military base is the Chinese Nuclear Command Facility at 1.9 kilometers depth. So when I post something like, I've posted deep earthquakes in the Tyrrhenian Sea, say 325 miles or kilometers deep. Someone will say, oh, they're blowing up a deep Really? Why would you build an underground base on the depth it's impossible for you to reach over a mantle plume? Why would you put a deep underground military base on major fault lines and subduction zones? Come on, people, knock it off. Next, tremors. Cascadia subduction zone tremors are not earthquakes, even though a magnitude energy is assigned to each one. For example, magnitude 1.2, they are not earthquakes. A tremor is a vibration of the plates. It is a vibration of the Pacific Ocean plate sliding underneath the continental plate. Vibration, tremor, that's all it is. North American continent, Pacific Ocean plate subducts, slides underneath. And then you get a vibration, a tremor. At the plate interface, that's all it is. You do not feel these tremors. Your pets, your dogs might sense a vibration, however. Next, let's talk about flares. So when I post, there was a X whatever flare on the limb side of the sun, some people will say, oh, that's what I felt. Sorry, no, you're wrong. No, not always and very rarely, unless it's a stronger and direct Earth facing. So flares from the sun do not initially affect us unless it's a large flare and it's directly Earth facing. Then you might sense the hard X-ray hit. Otherwise, what you're probably experiencing may be the effects of, say, a low pressure system. The symptoms from low pressure systems in many cases are the same as geomagnetic instabilities, space weather, impacts. Another one. Here's another one that annoys me. Whenever there's a wildfire anywhere in the United States, people are jumping out of their armchairs and see, look, it's for another 15-minute city. I know it is. Fools. People are undergoing a very serious drought condition right now and a geomagnetic excursion. Heat's coming from below the ground as well as radiation from the top. Every time there's a wildfire here and there and everywhere. They're not trying to burn you out for a 15-minute city. They are getting ready to go to their underground cities and bunkers. They don't give a shit about you. They're going to let you burn alive. Why would they spend such vast amounts of money to create all these 15-minute cities? They're going to leave us above. Why? They think they're going to be safe and secure in their underground cities and bunkers. Now we're going to explain what's happening over North America with the jet streams. The magnetic field is generated from within the outer core of the planet. It's like a bar magnet. It's like a bar magnet, where this is the north positive of the bar magnet, and then the south negative of the bar magnet. So in order to have a coherent, not tangled, 100% field strength of the magnetic field. So the magnetic field, you have these arrows backwards. The magnetic field leaves the south magnetic cusp, encircles the planet, and reemerges and comes back in through the north magnetic cusp. Neat, coherent magnetic field lines if the two ends of the magnets are more or less antipodal of each other. The situation, however, is that we're undergoing a geomagnetic excursion. Magnetic north, which used to be in Nunavut, Canada, has already crossed over Santa Claus North Pole and is headed towards Siberia. Magnetic south has already left Antarctica and is in the waters between Antarctica and Australia. We no longer have this neat, organized magnetic field lines. So here's another representation. So let's just say, now this means that both north and south magnetic poles are drawing towards each other. The meeting point will be the Bay of Bengal, Indian Ocean region, where the field lines will be stronger. This means on the opposite side of the magnet increases the distance, which is on the other side of the planet. So this would be around Indonesia. The opposite side, the weaker the magnetic field lines, is North America. It's the same thing with this picture here. So magnetic north and south are drawing towards each other. The field lines are tighter on the opposite side of the planet. The distance is increasing here. The field lines are breaking apart. So once again, magnetic north is coming down this way. Magnetic south is right here. The meeting point is right here. The two ends of the magnet are working towards each other, which leaves the opposite side of the planet with a weaker magnetic field breaking down our jet streams. The opposite side, of course, is the Americas. So when another YouTuber says that they are doing this to create the conditions for all the storms and tornadoes so they can bring in the Great Reset, is incorrect. The magnetic field over the Americas is weaker on the Western Hemisphere than it is on the Eastern Hemisphere. Then, the South Atlantic anomaly, which encompasses South America, Atlantic Ocean into West Africa, is an area of our magnetic field extremely weak, believed to be growing, and if the axis of the planet is slowly tilted down this way, this will put the South Atlantic anomaly up into the Caribbean, working its way into United States. I'm almost done. So there's been more and more news coverage about the recent solar events. Grid communications, ATC, radar failures, which seem to be happening on a daily basis. So many I can't keep up. Now, on one hand, I try and stay focused on the current state of our protective magnetic field or its deterioration, and my belief that it is beginning to develop a multipolar field with meandering weak zones here and there causing these failures, but also the effects of the incoming system, folks. Must be concealed for as long as possible, and this will lead me to a separate talk later on tonight. For those believers, there's different failures for grid. There's different reasons for grid failures. As we get into the hot summer months, for example, a demand for electricity for such things as air conditioning. If there's too much of a demand, the safety mechanisms on the transformers will shut the systems down. Just one example. Another example, here in the South Okanagan, they've issued a notice more for the rural areas that when the conditions are favorable for the ignition of wildfires from down power lines, when it's hot, when it's windy, they are going to preemptively shut down sections of the grid for 72 hours or more to prevent the ignition of wildfires from down power lines. The problem with that is the orchard growers, the farmers in these areas who need pressure for their irrigation systems, pressure from electricity. But we also, are we also being conditioned and being prepared? Let me back up. In 1983, it's when they turned on the internet. Now, are they conditioning us and preparing us for when they do this to the internet? See, the internet is how we now communicate to one another, how we find knowledge, how we pass on knowledge. We learn things and we pass it on to others. This is how we know what's happening. And as we get close to a critical timeline, they're going to shut us off. They will not allow us to have access to vital information. Everything is the internet, folks. Finally, I have to question whether or not the government are using some YouTube content creators. One in particular I know they're using, Shill, Spook. But maybe any others. There's very, very few other YouTubers I follow. I do not have the time. There's one I used to listen to every once in a while, MD Creekmore. I had to shut him off when he started to talk about he was absolutely sure that all the destructive weather events and tornadoes throughout the United States are all made by man so they can bring in the Great Reset. Well, that's one less one I had to listen to. I do enjoy listening to Mr. Travis of the Prepared Homestead. Down-to-earth Bible man. At two different ends of the continent, somewhat think the same. Not on all topics, Travis. But there are other YouTubers who are slowly beginning to wake up and realize what's possibly happening with our weakening magnetic field. I'm so honored, Travis, that you're watching my videos. I really am. Keep it up. It was very cute when you said you don't agree with battery storage boxes. It was very cute. I like that. We all have our own reasons for doing what we do. Yeah, obviously watch my video about solar backup power. That's fine. You watch me, I watch you. Watch me tonight, and we're going to have a good one. So battery storage boxes. Take, for example, my greenhouses. My greenhouses, to grow food, they have to have air circulation. My main greenhouse is on a slope, so I have different levels. Right? So I need fans everywhere. So my cute battery storage boxes that I made powers all my fans and lights, so I can grow my food. You know, when we get exceedingly warm, I can't afford it. I can't afford air conditioning, so my battery storage boxes will power fans inside my house, for example. The most critical piece of equipment in the entire universe is my little coffee machine. My battery storage boxes, Travis. I'll be back tonight, folks. I did post Travis's latest video on my YouTube channel. See you later.